Ever heard of the term good debt and wondered if it was really a thing? Hola mi gente, welcome back to Latino Investor. Today we're going to be discussing the topic of debt and whether I think there is such a thing as good debt. Spoiler alert, I don't. Now don't worry, that's not the end of the video, so let's continue. For most of us, we were probably introduced to the idea of debt along with the topic of credit cards. We were probably told to pay off our credit cards in full every single month to avoid being in debt and to pay interest. But what is debt? Debt is essentially money that you borrowed and are obligated to pay it back within a period of time. Failure to do so can lead to fees and interest being paid in addition to the original amount that you borrowed. Using your credit cards to buy things, financing a car with a loan, and taking out a mortgage to buy a house are all examples of debt. Now, most of us know to not get behind on our credit cards and our car payment, and to try to pay off these loans as quickly as possible. But with mortgages, it's a little different. Usually, mortgages are what people consider to be good debt because you're using a mortgage to buy a house, and a house typically goes up in value. So it's considered as an investment.
Say you buy a house for $100,000, guys, right? You only put down $20,000. You put 20% down, the bank gives you the other $80,000. You put $20,000 into the property to fix it up. That property now goes up to $200,000. Then you can go ahead and do a cash out refinance, and you can pull out what, 70%? Remember, you only put in about $40,000 of your own money into the deal. Now you're getting $140,000 out. You can take that $140 tax-free, which is the key, and roll it into buying another asset that's going to make you more money. You ain't paying it, your tenants aren't.
Right.
So why not continue to do that and buy and hold? This is how the wealthy stay wealthy.
Another reason why people think mortgages are a good debt is because of the interest rates. Usually the interest rates with mortgages are much lower than other debts, especially if the person took out the mortgage post-pandemic. In 2021, we saw record low mortgage rates and high existing home sales. So a lot of people locked in really low rates. But do I think these reasons make mortgages good debt? No. For me, all debt is bad and you should try to pay it off as quickly as possible. The thing is that there is no such thing as good debt. There is just debt that doesn't suck as bad, but it's still bad because you owe someone money. And what I found is that the term good debt doesn't account for risk. For example, in real estate, people tend to think that house prices will always go up. Historically, yes, that is true. Over a long period of time, real estate does go up in value, but there are short-term fluctuations that can have some serious implications on an eager buyer that doesn't account for risk when things start to go south for them. And the crazy thing is, a study done by LendingTree found that over 50% of recent home buyers didn't shop around for a mortgage and went with the first loan that they were offered. So this goes to show that a lot of people are still jumping very quickly into mortgages without doing some more research, potentially leaving a lot of money on the table. Now this is very risky because your mortgage is the least that you're going to be paying every single month, and you still need to account for things such as insurance, property taxes, and maintenance costs, because you need to remember that life happens. The roof starts to leak or the HVAC system goes out, you need to be prepared to pay for those costs. Or let's say you are unemployed because you got laid off or you injured yourself at work, so you cannot go in to make some money. The mortgage payment still needs to be paid at the end of the month. So what do I recommend you do with good debt, aka debt that doesn't suck as bad? Well, I would say you need to pay that off as quickly as possible, because the longer you have that debt, the longer you have to stress about making enough money to cover that obligation. Now, when it comes to buying a home, I know it would be very unrealistic for me to say to pay cash for it, but I would advise you not use that as an excuse to go out and buy a house without running the numbers and staying within budget. When it comes to buying a house, a guide that I'm personally using is Dave Ramsey's advice on how to buy a home, which you can find with a simple Google search. So to summarize, most people are going to need to take out a mortgage to buy a home, but just make sure that you're able to afford all of the costs that come with owning a home. Don't just jump into a mortgage quickly because you're told you need to build equity by your parents or by that real estate agent on Facebook. The mental and financial stress that comes with stretching yourself thin every single month to pay debt is not worth owning a home. Buy a home within your means when you are ready, and don't listen to the ones that are trying to convince you otherwise, because at the the end of the day, you are the one that's taking on that risk. So if you found value in today's content, go ahead and like and subscribe to the channel so that you stay up to date with my tips and advice, as well as what I am currently doing and following. Like always, hay que echarle ganas para salir adelante. Let's achieve financial freedom together. Hasta la próxima.